All right, here we go. It is absolutely freezing in my apartment right now, so I might be shaking a little bit while we're doing this, but we're getting into the podcast. We are just going to move that a little bit. All right, we are getting into the podcast, and we are talking about a secret to better strength and conditioning. And yeah, so I'm going to give it about 30 seconds, let some people tune in, but we're going to get going pretty quickly. Guys, as you tune in, shoot me a message in the comments. Let me know how training's going, how life's going, how just your day's going, whatever it might be. If you got anything exciting coming up, let's hear about it. But excuse me, let's get into it right away. Make sure you're sticking around. We're going to do some Q&A on the Instagram account after the episode is done. And we are going to get right into the show. We are talking about the secret to better strength and conditioning. And we are going to go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I am your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we're talking about one of the secrets to better strength and conditioning. Now, the reason we're talking about this is because, plain and simple, I want to deliver as much value as I can, and this is going to be one of those things that I think opens a lot of people's eyes. This is something that I've been operating on for quite a long time, but I kind of didn't really figure out how to put it into words the right way until just the last few months. So if you followed me for any kind of time at all, you know that one of the biggest mistakes I see athletes make with their conditioning is just always trying to do more, more runs, more circuits, more weights, more reps, more whatever else it is you're doing. Thinking, and I understand the mentality, you're thinking the more work I do, the better results I'm going to get, because naturally that just seems to make sense, right? You're like, if I do more of this, I'm going to have more gas tank. But the problem, guys, is you're just forgetting what conditioning actually means. And conditioning is an athlete's ability to match the energy demands of their sport. So if you fight 3 3-minute rounds, as an example, your goal is not to be the guy who can go for the longest. Your goal is to be the guy who can go with the hardest for 3 3-minute rounds, right? And in order to actually make that happen, you don't just need to do the most work. You need to be more intentional about the work you're doing and put more effort into doing the right things. Now, when I say that, I'm going to break down what I mean. So when I say that you need to be more intentional about putting more effort into the right things instead of just trying to do more work, you need to do what conditioning actually is. You need to build the physical qualities required to perform in the sport. Now, for fighters, let's break down what that is. So #1, the absolute baseline of everything is strength. And the reason that the baseline of everything is strength is because, plain and simple, guys, if you don't have strength, you have no ability to output power. Power comes from strength. And if you have no strength, then every movement you make is taking more of your overall energy, which means that you're going to tire out faster. And where a lot of people go wrong when they comment stupid shit on my Instagram posts is that they think that when I say you need to get stronger, that means you need to pack on a shit ton of muscle. But guys, there's a difference between focusing on building size and focusing on building strength. You need to focus on building strength. Now, obviously, if you're going up a weight class or something like that, 100% you need to work on building some size too. But when it comes to people being worried that they're going to pack on too much muscle or anything like that, it's guys, there are people every day trying to pack on too much muscle, not succeeding. You're not going to do it by accident lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week. What you are going to do by lifting weights 2 to 3 times a week is build proper baseline strength so that your body's operating at a higher level, all of your movements take less of your energy, and in turn, you're able to do more within the duration that you're actually competing for. So when it comes to building strength, what we need to focus on doing, #1, like I said, 2 to 3 sessions per week. And the focus should be keeping about 80 to 90% intensity. I always talk about RPE, rate of perceived exertion. And basically think if a 10 RPE is like 100% intensity. Like I could not do another rep if I tried. So 9 means I could have probably done one more rep if I tried. 8, 2 more reps, 7, 3 more reps, all the way down until a 1. So for strength work, we want to keep to approximately an 8 or 9 out of 10 RPE. So it should be heavy, but it shouldn't be maximal. And it should be 2 to 3 sessions a week hitting the full body. Now, one of the things that I hear a lot of athletes ask about when it comes to, hitting the full body versus doing like a push-pull leg split is like, basically asking why they should do it that way instead of a push-pull leg split. And the reason for it is because push-pull leg splits are designed, first of all, to make the body grow, not just add some strength as a rule. But second, and this is most important, if you're doing 5 or 6 lower body exercises for 4 sets of 12 or whatever it might be, your legs are going to be brutalized the next day. And so if you do that on a Thursday and then you spar on a Friday, that's going to be a horrendous sparring session. Sure, you did more volume on the legs, but now you're taking away from your skills training. And the key to succeeding in the sport is, like I said, being able to match the energy demands of the sport, which also includes having the skills and having the ability to execute the skills at a high level for the duration of the competition. And if your legs are destroyed every day when you go into training because you're blasting these crazy push-pull leg splits, now you're not going to have the energy when you come into competition. So you're not going to be meeting the energy demands of their sport. And if you're not meeting the energy demands of the sport, you're not succeeding. It's as simple as it goes. So instead, hit a full body session, usually 2 to 3 lower body exercises, 2 to 3 upper body exercises, focusing in on making sure we're keeping balance through the whole body. So what I mean when I say that is let's say you're doing 2 upper body exercises for 4 sets of 6 to 8 reps at that 8 out of 10 RPE, then when you're picking those exercises, let's say to make it simple, you're doing 2. One of them is a incline dumbbell bench press. That's a pushing exercise. Throw a pulling exercise in there too. Don't just hammer all the chest and shoulder stuff without hitting the back. You know what I'm saying? So like throwing balance into that equation. Now, that's the basics of strength. So that's your baseline. That is just your ability to move without your body falling apart, because like muscle keeps your body together. Now, the next thing that we got to focus on is aerobic conditioning. And this is where people get into like the, distance runs and all that kind of stuff. And so when it comes to this stuff, people think, again, longer. But you've got to remember that your goal is not how long can I go? Your goal is how hard can I go for the specific confines of the fight. So when it comes to aerobic training, what we need to do is we need to shorten the duration that I see a lot of people doing. And then we need to up the intensity. So to make it an aerobic session, it doesn't just have to be super long. It has to be steady, high pace with incomplete rest, right? So like one of my favorite ways to do it with my athletes is 90 seconds of high pace, continuous effort, followed by 30 seconds of rest for 8 rounds. So it's going to be a much shorter session than a lot of people are used to, but you're going to be working on keeping yourself at a high pace that's actually going to translate to what you do in your fights, right? Maintaining a high, steady pace, pushing for a consistent amount of time, teaching your body to recover from that as effectively as possible in a minimal amount of time to improve your ability to push a pace in the fight and not gas yourself out by doing so. Now, as you continue to build these 2 pieces, you're going to start to notice that your ability to just push a steady pace in the fight is going to drastically start increasing. And not because we trained in a way to mimic the exact fight, not because we did more reps than anyone else in the gym, but because we actually thought about what do I need to step into the fight at my best. I need to be stronger, but not just lift a shit ton of weights. I need the strength to actually translate. And then I need that ability to push a steady pace for the whole duration of the fight. Not for 15 3-minute rounds, but for 3 3-minute rounds. And again, obviously take that number based off of whatever level you're competing at and apply that to yourself as well. If you're fighting 3 5s or 5 5s or 5 3s or whatever it is, Your goal is to be able to go for that duration. Your goal is not to be able to go for the longest amount possible. Now, the next piece of the puzzle we're going to talk about is power. So when it comes to power training, one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of athletes make is, again, just more reps, thinking, I throw a lot of punches in the fight, so I need to be able to throw a lot with a lot of power. But the difference is, again, guys, we're not focused on trying to mimic the fight. We're focused on trying to improve your ability to output power. So if you take the fight out of it and you focus just on how do I train to improve my ability to output power, I'll tell you what you need to do. When you pick your plyometric exercises, again, we're not focused on how many reps can I do. We're focused on the reps being explosive, because if the reps are more explosive, you're improving your body's ability to output power. If you're improving your body's ability to output power, that's going to translate to you being able to be more explosive when you're throwing power shots in the fight. So usually when we're in a power phase, the way I work it with my athletes is we work on 3 to 4 plyometric exercises, within a session. Usually we split that either, 2 upper body, 1 lower body, 2 lower body, 1 upper body, or 2 and 2, depending on the session. And again, minimal reps. I don't want to say minimal, but again, the focus is not how many reps can we do. The focus is the quality of the reps. So when it comes to power training, instead of just thinking I need to go for 3 full minutes of mid-ball slams because, I've got to be powerful for my whole 3-minute round, think about improving your ability to output power. Because if you're slamming a ball into the floor for 3 straight minutes, I can guarantee you after about 25 seconds, it's not powerful anymore. That's drastically dropped off. So now instead of building power, you're just doing medicine ball slams, right? Whereas if you take that same exercise and say, we're going to do 4 sets of 6 reps, and you do 6 reps absolutely as hard as you can do, take a 1.5 minute rest, do 6 more absolutely as hard as you can do, 1.5 minute rest, and repeat for those 3-4 plyometric exercises. Now what's going to happen? As you continue to train that, your body is learning to output more power, because as you get stronger, you have more potential to output power. And then as you translate that into actual power output exercises, you have more ability to output more power, your more ability to repeat maximum power efforts and recover from them quicker. What starts to happen is your body starts to learn, throw hard shots, recover from it fast. Throw hard shots, recover from it fast. But the more ability you have to output power, the better that power output is, the less of your overall energy every single power shot you throw is taking. So instead of trying to mimic the fight, we're trying to improve your ability to output that physical quality. And then the main point that I want to get across with all of that as well is, a lot of you might be listening to this being like, well, but you need to mimic the fight because, you got to be able to, it's all well and good to have power for 6 reps, but what about the whole fight? But if we've built your ability to output power to a higher degree, we've built your ability to recover from explosive efforts to a higher degree, and then you're sparring 1-2 times a week, doing the actual rounds of the fight, mimicking the fight, doing all of that, now you're doing that with an enhanced ability, right? Because if you have the capability of outputting 40% more power than you do today, then in those same sparring rounds, you have the ability to output 40% more power before it gasses you out than you would have before. You get what I'm saying? So it's not just about how many reps can I do, it's actually building that ability. And then the sparring rounds, the drilling, whatever else it is translating it into the sport. So guys, that's strength and power. We're going to do more episodes talking about, breakdowns of the different physical qualities and stuff like that. But I really hope you got some good value out of that. I hope you learned a little something. If you did, I'd love to know what. And I would love it if you would shoot me a message across any of my social media platforms to tell me what you learned, tell me what you took away. As always, I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you on the next episode. And my cat is